You know, if you go to seminary or Bible college or you study theology somewhere, even if you are in a pretty good church that does a lot of teaching, you will find a lot of very interesting theologians and Bible teachers. And I had the exact same experience. In fact, when I was an undergrad, I took a course in historical theology, and this book was assigned the Dictionary of Historical Theology. Actually, I think this is a really good book. It has lots of entries, I don't know how many, hundreds, but lots of entries on all sorts of theologians and theological movements and just anything that you would be interested in from the time of the apostles up until the end of the 20th century. But then I met Dallas Willard. I actually did meet him close to this time, but I met him mainly through this book and The Spirits of the Disciplines. And, you know, he wasn't in here. He was a little too recent to be in something like this. But when I tried to put together what he was saying with what people were saying about theology in books like this, they seemed to be in very different worlds. And so this became a very important question for me. How do you make sense of Dallas Willard in the company of theologians? It is dark here in Munich. I'm on my way to the train station to take a train to Frankfurt for the Frankfurt Book Fair. Got something very important to pick up there and wanted to take you along for the journey. They've changed the track, so I'm over here now. So one of the reasons why I'm in Frankfurt is because I'm going to meet one of the editors who helped me work on a book project. He hasn't necessarily agreed to meet me on video, so we'll see if that happens. So I've made it to Frankfurt, to the Frankfurt Book Fair, the Buchmesse. That's where it is right there. They've got the flags flying. It's really not a thing for writers like myself. It's more for people who are in the book selling business. In order to get in, you have to pay some money, and I'm not going to be here for very long, and so I looked at it and thought, I don't think it's really worth it. I've been to the Buchmesse, and basically it's like any other trade fair. You're just going to have lots of stands, look very nice, and people trying to talk to you, and you going up to stands and seeing what they have. I still hope that despite not being able to show any cool pictures of me in the actual Buchmesse, that this trip will still be worthwhile. I'm going to go in here where it's a lot warmer. I have got it. This is it. The book that I worked 10 years on, and now it is in my hands. Well, here it is, The Kingdom Among Us, the Gospel According to Dallas Willard by Michael Stewart Robb, better known as Mike. First appearance on the Sanctus Forum. This is the book that it took me 10 years to write, as I said in another video earlier in this year. And here it is. First week I am holding it in my hands, and this isn't going to be a review or anything like that. I don't know possibly how I could do that, but I have a lot of good things to say about the packaging, which I'm not really in charge of. It's the publisher who does that stuff. And I just think that they nailed the cover, which is not something that you can say for books that are 500 pages long and are kind of more on the academic side of things. But they just really did an incredible job with that. 500 pages long, that includes the index and all the notes. One of the things that you will notice about this book, if you go to look at it somewhere online, is the list price, which is $46 US. Maybe something about that. This is not a trade book, as they're called in the publishing industry. This is a book that's sort of designed for a very niche audience, an audience that's sort of been educated and educated particularly in theology and a little bit of philosophy. And so for that reason, the books get priced differently. And paper is more expensive now, and my book has been priced sort of with the future, of paper costs in mind. And so I apologize if 46 list price, you can probably find a discount somewhere, is too much for some people, but I think it's probably about as good as you can do for a book like this, and I am really quite pleased that they were able to bring it down to an amount where if you have a personal library like I do here, you can actually consider purchasing this for your own personal library, and I guess I hope you do. Now, to that question, how do you put together what Dallas Willard was writing in the Divine Conspiracy together with what other people are doing in all of theology here as represented in this book, the Dictionary of Historical Theology? This here, 500 pages worth, is my answer to that. It's probably not going to be the only answer, let's hope so, and it's not a complete answer because there's a lot more that can be said about Dallas Willard as a theologian that I haven't said in that book. But if you have any interest in that question, this is my attempt to answer it, and you can follow what I have to say about that. Now, in this video, I guess it just would be helpful to maybe give a little reading guide, because I know that Dallas Willard was read by a lot of people who didn't go to seminary and didn't get theological education of any degree. And I'm pretty sure I know where you're going to have trouble. Actually, even theologians will have trouble in this spot. First two chapters in this book are going to be pretty easy for a lot of people to read. But once you hit that third chapter, I'm going to start talking about Edmund Husserl, who Dallas Willard had as his sort of main philosophical interest. And I am going to try to put together what he is learning from Husserl with how he reads the Bible and how he thinks about God. That's going to be a little tough for some people. Same with chapter 4. There's a bit more there on Husserl and some other theological figures. But I just want to sort of, in a sense, for my little reading guide, say, once you get to chapter 5, chapter 6, chapter 7, things get back to the sort of easier reading that you might have seen in chapters 1 and 2. And of course, I would love to hear from you about this book. You write a book like this, you spend many, many years and nobody actually sees any of the ideas, any of the writing that you have. So one of the best ways that you can do that, and you can also help other people, is to write a review on Amazon, whether you bought the book on Amazon or not. Writing reviews on that just helps other people know, hey, other people like this book for these reasons. Or if you don't like the book, I want to hear about that too, and I'm sure other people want to hear about it, in fair and decent ways. If you know something about theological journals and writing for those, that would be an excellent way to help this book be discovered by people who work in the university and theology, so that perhaps in 5-10 years, when somebody assigns a book like this as teaching on historical theology, or even writing a book like this, they can find out about Dallas Willard and his theology before they even get into the divine conspiracy. That would be a really interesting goal to work towards. So, let us know what you think once you formulated an opinion, and Amazon is a great way to do that, but also the theological journals. I will see you next time. I look forward to hearing about what you think of this. I'm so excited about this. It is really cool to have produced something this big. So, and well, I think this good. So apparently my train is, you're just seeing my mouth.